1 minute late, but we're gonna catch up. Lots to do in September with the end of the transfer window and international games, Champions League, and we start with the Bundesliga game against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Hello, Thomas Tuchel. Let's start with the questions. Thomas, yesterday was the draw for the Champions League. What is your take on your group and the Dortmund group, which isn't that easy as well? Is Palhinha now the holding midfielder that you were hoping for? Well, where should I start? We have a very attractive, a strong, difficult group. There are no easy opponents and no easy groups in the Champions League anyway. That is my personal opinion and my personal feeling. Every group game, whether you played as a favorite, is difficult because the roles are set. Manchester United, there is a really tough opponent, one of the best and most difficult stadiums that we're going to play in, Copenhagen, Galatasaray with young coaches and big success with qualifying for the Champions League. Copenhagen, they have a really tight, good stadium in the middle of the city, very good to play. Galatasaray were acquiring new players, and you have to play it first. Some might think, well, it's on the same level, or we are the favorites, but it is going to be difficult, very attractive draw, and I hope the fans are looking forward to it and that we can deliver what they expect. The Dortmund group is on paper definitely the most difficult, the group with the best names. And what's the other question? I forgot about it. Well, I cannot. Can you characterize Palhinha as a player? Well, maybe he doesn't come to us, and then I talked about a player that we haven't acquired. So it's going to take a few hours. We're looking to strengthen our squad, and it looks like it's going to lead up to a last-minute decision, and it is what it is. The focus of my coaching staff and me is to prepare the team for the game against Gladbach and not to get distracted too much, which is difficult, to be honest, but it's exciting, and we'll see. So let's change the subject real quick. A surprise. Leon Goretzka was omitted from the national team. Was it a surprise for you as well? Can you understand the decision of Hansi Flick? And is that maybe a signal for him to work even harder? Well, it's always a signal to work harder when you are disappointed the way, and it was a surprise for him, obviously. So it should really spur him up to prove that in the next national team phase, it can only be a team with him, and I think that's the way he goes about things. He's disappointed, he's a bit angry, and that is normal, and we have to change that into a performance. He worked his way back into the team from the first game, and he needs to continue. And that's the way it is. We have to accept it, that the national coach makes the decisions, and he has his reasons for it, and we cannot comment on it, and we have to accept it and make the best of it. Mr. Tuchel, what is the personnel situation and why is Gladbach not going to be difficult for Bayern? Well, because as soon as a series is against us, we don't believe in the series. But that's always in football, that on a certain pitch and on a certain stadium, you're having a tough job. Bayern used to have it, and at Kaiserslautern, for example, or in Frankfurt, as far as I can remember as a kid. This can happen, that a style and an atmosphere and all this doesn't really fit, and you're really having a tough time there, but still I think we are the favorites, and that is our approach. Go into Gladbach, we want to win, we have to show up with a good performance, have to try to emulate the things that we did well against Bremen in the second half, against Augsburg as well, and all the things that went well, like our duels, for example, like working against the ball, like creating chances, and just continue doing that and not really think about series and that we had. It's a new game tomorrow, and when you play at Gladbach, Gladbach plays against Bayern, it's always emotional, it's always a special game, a large history, and you're playing against this in a way, but it really helps to look around you in the locker room and see that your fellow players are ready to help you out and work for you as well, and you're not alone. And so together we can go about this and try to concentrate on our game, and then I'm absolutely confident that we have everything to win the game. Obviously, you need a bit of luck in the game, but when we're there, then it's going to be in our own hands. And personally, Jamal, it's too early for him. We're not going to take any risks. München took a short break. He had a cramp in the game. He wanted to participate in training, but we said as a precautionary measure that he needs to take a day break and day off, and I'm waiting for a green light from the medical personnel, and all the others will be ready as well. Mr. Tuchel, we're going to take 2-3 hours for Palinja. Gravenberch is a step further. He left for Liverpool. Can you talk us through why this didn't really fit with Gravenberch and Bayern? Was he too similar to others? Well, for me, he's an offensive player. He's a number 8. I think the biggest problem is for Ryan that the number 8 is a position that we don't really have in the team. When we played with the 2 holding midfielders in a 4-2-3-1, you don't have the number 8 position, and in the offensive lineup with the 3 offensive players, there's a lot of opponents that you have to work against within the team. Players that are playing there for a long time at Bayern Munich, they are tougher in the competition and more experienced in the competition than Ryan, and that was the biggest problem. Ryan as such is a very nice guy. He's very diligent, very talented. He's absolutely humble and a nice guy. Like I said, we had no problems, but he was not happy with his situation pretty much from the start. And now the opportunity to go to Liverpool in a 4-3-3 with 2 number 8, he sees his chance to fight for a spot which is closer to his qualities and all this. And as always, with a player, we see him in the offensive 3, and there's just too many other players that can play this. And when a player wants to leave and is talking about leaving, then we are always going to think about this, because we want to have players that are happy to be here, that are accepting their roles, and that are happy to accept the roles, and even in tough times, they know how to fight their way through, and he knows that he wants to have the spot and wants to continue here and wants to fare better. And I really don't take this as a hit at him, but when there's an offer coming up, then we are thinking about it. But I'm not sure whether this is completely through, but the tendency is clear. Benjamin Pavard left the club. You said only when you have a replacement for him. There is no replacement yet. a player that's going to come, or is it going to be dealt with internally? Would it have been an option to keep Josip Stanisic? Well, it's hard to argue against it. It doesn't look too happy for us, the situation as such, but when you think about decisions, you always have to think about the moment that we made the decision. And when we were thinking about the Stanisic situation, Benjamin Pavard wasn't coming to me, talking to me about it. We didn't have an offer for him, and for Stani and for the club, it was a really good solution to take him out on loan to a good club, a club that is playing in the highest region of the table and might be fighting for the championship in Germany. And at that moment, that was the plan, to have him as a successor for Benjamin Pavard, because Benjamin Pavard was about to stay, and we were doing Stanisic a favor, and we thought about the development of the player as such, and for the long run, think about getting back a player with lots of playing time and more playing time that he could have had with us. But then the situation with Benjamin Pavard turned around 180 degrees, and so this is a huge gap, and we have to try to fill it within a short period of time. Obviously, we have Conny, who can play very flexible, who played 20 minutes as a right back, but we have less fight for that spot. We have less options for the right side of the defense and the holding midfield role. This is not what I wished for. We're going to try to change it, and if not, then we have to be creative. Leroy Sané appears to be very keen and straightforward in the first weeks. Did anything happen in the summer, or we had that in the past as well, that he started very well in the first part of the season and then he sort of lost it. Well, I think it's the same way. He's very positive in practice. I have the feeling that he likes being here and that he really enjoys being on the pitch. And I think that I can see the way that he moves, he behaves, he interacts with his fellow players, and when he is that way, then he is a player that can make the difference. He has to be someone who dominates the leagues in stats and not only in short periods of the game, and that's what we expect from him. He's too old to be just a talent or just to have potential. That's a matter of fact in this league, with the abilities that he has, talent-wise and physically, he has to dominate the league on his position, and as far as assists and goals are concerned. And in order to do that, he's a very sensitive guy and a young man and a very nice guy, by the way. So it's very important that he really feels well and that he's positive within himself and can stay positive and appear positive to other people as well. And that is happening at this time, and we will do everything for him to stay that way, but he has to really not be just happy with it. He has to put the stats in the middle of his game. You're not going to talk about the lineup probably, but are Matthijs de Ligt and Thomas Müller at around 100%? Are they ready for 90 minutes? Yes, they are. They are getting closer, and with every training session and every training week that we had, the fitness is getting better, and so they have the potential to be in the starting 11. There are going to be some tough choices and players on the bench that also had the chance to start, but when you sign a contract with Bayern Munich, you always have to be ready. And not everybody can be in the starting 11, even though they might deserve it. And that's why it's never going to change. Not everyone on the bench deserves to be on the bench. And those on the bench have to be on the bench ready to come into the game all the time. You have to put your ego aside. Everything has to be done to help the team. There is definitely a difference in between making the decision tough for me and be angry at me, but you can still be on the bench and push your fellow players. You don't have to be egocentric and think badly about your fellow players. And the two you're just talking about are ready for the starting 11. Everybody has to earn its place, and the ones that play have to fight in order that we are able to play the way we can win a game. And we look from week to week. We have a really small squad, and we need everybody available. And after the final practice and traveling to Gladbach, we're going to decide who is going to play and how many changes we're going to make. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.